What you are about to hear is not casual advice. It is a shift in how you walk, speak, think, act, a shift in how you interpret your circumstances and command your future. Let me tell you something that most men never grasp until it's too late. Your life bends to your assumptions. The way you expect things to go is the way they usually go, not because of fate, but because of focus. Because your dominant thoughts pull circumstances into alignment. They shape how you act, how you speak, how you persist or retreat. So what if you assumed right now that everything is working out for you, even when it's hard, even when it's silent, even when there's no proof? What if you lived like the outcome was certain, like the door was already open, and all you had to do was walk through it? That is not wishful thinking. That is mental engineering. And it is how the greatest minds in history rose through failure, criticism, and fear. Henry Ford didn't hope things would work out. He decided they would. He poured his belief into the unknown before the world believed it was even possible. When everyone said the automobile was a fantasy, he built factories. Thomas Edison didn't doubt after his first 100th or 10,000th failed prototype because he assumed success was inevitable. He didn't need to see it. He carried it in his mind, and he acted as if it was already his. Charles Schwab didn't operate from fear. He operated from faith in his vision, a faith so strong that entire steel empires were shaped by it. His certainty was contagious. His belief made other men follow. And Andrew Carnegie, the man who transformed industry and wealth in America, he did not ask, what if this doesn't work? He moved as if the results were already secured. That is the energy that builds legacies. So why not you? Why not now? Why not today? You've spent enough time worrying, enough time hesitating, enough time telling yourself stories rooted in fear. Now, it's time to flip the script. Because the version of you that hesitates, that overthinks, that shrinks when life gets loud, he cannot coexist with the version of you that walks in certainty. You cannot serve two minds. One must die. So today I hand you a new frame, a new filter, a new standard. Act as if everything always works out, not because it's guaranteed, but because it makes you unstoppable. Because when you assume that success is inevitable, you move with courage, you speak with authority, you command your life instead of negotiating with it. This video is your reset, your new operating system, and it is to be repeated, not once, not twice, daily, until your subconscious accepts this certainty as law, until doubt withers in the presence of your calm. Because fear cannot live where faith is present. And the moment you live in alignment with the assumption that the outcome is secured, you destroy fear. So listen with intensity. Speak these truths aloud. Let them enter your nervous system like fuel. Because what we do next is not motivation, and it is reprogramming. And by the end of this hour, you will not think the same, and you will not move the same, and you will not be the same. Let's begin. Let's start with a question that has the power to rewrite your entire life. What if it all works out? Not just the small things, not just the comfortable outcomes, but all of it. The setbacks, the delays, the pain, the silence, the detours, the moments where nothing made sense. What if all of it, every piece of the struggle, is building the exact version of you required for the dream you've been asking for? Most people don't live in that possibility. They live in worry. They wake up bracing for failure. They talk about worst-case scenarios. They expect betrayal. They wait for the bottom to fall out, even when life is rising. And because of that expectation, they unconsciously direct their energy toward what they fear instead of what they want. But there's another way to live, a way that doesn't require hype, a way that doesn't demand perfection, a way that simply asks one thing from you: to believe before you see. Because here's the truth. Belief isn't a reaction. Belief is a choice. And that choice directs the energy of your mind. The subconscious does not argue with you. It accepts what you feed it, and then it builds around that assumption. If you say, things never work for me, your subconscious says, understood. And it begins filtering your world through that lens. That's what you start to notice. That's what you start to expect. That's what you attract. Not because of magic, but because you stopped looking for anything else. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine waking up, no matter the circumstance, with this quiet command running in the background. Everything is working out for me. Even if you're broke, even if you've been betrayed, even if the path isn't clear yet, you still move like it's happening. You still execute like the doors are already opening. You still build like the foundation is solid. That belief alone, practiced daily, would rewire your entire life, because when you assume things are working in your favor, you become calmer under pressure. You become more patient in the waiting. You move with power even when the evidence isn't there yet. This isn't delusion. This is leadership of self. Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's not just perseverance. That's a man who assumed the light bulb was already his. It was just a matter of time. He didn't ask, what if this never happens? He asked, what else can I try because I know it's coming? That mindset is the difference between the man who folds after 3 setbacks and the one who becomes a legend. Henry Ford, when his investors laughed at the idea of a car for the common man, he didn't try to prove himself with words. He didn't shrink into fear. He moved forward like the world was wrong and his vision was already done. And that's not arrogance. That's assumption with discipline. It's the decision to act like it's working, even when you can't see it yet. The weak wait for proof. The powerful move as if the proof already exists. That's what this mindset gives you. It removes the need for validation. It replaces panic with posture. And it installs a new belief system. The outcome is certain. I just haven't arrived yet. So let me ask you again, what if it all works out? What if the delay was divine? What if the betrayal was protection? What if the confusion was construction? What if the thing you're calling a setback is the exact detour that will introduce you to the version of you you actually need? You see, once you install that assumption, once it becomes your default, you no longer fear the unknown. You welcome it. Because the unknown is not the enemy. It's the evidence that something bigger is forming. And your only job is to keep moving, to build when it's boring, to lead when no one's clapping, to act like the outcome is locked in, even if the scoreboard says you're losing. Because the scoreboard doesn't measure your spirit. It doesn't track your faith. It doesn't see what's building behind the scenes. Only you know that. Only you know how deep this decision goes. So say it to yourself right now. I live as if everything is working for me. I don't panic, I prepare. I don't beg for signs. I build in silence. And I will not fold because I've already decided the ending. This is not mindset fluff. This is mental warfare. It is the choice to walk through the chaos with order in your mind, because once you decide how this ends, you don't need to flinch at the middle. Act as if everything works out. And soon it will. Because what the mind accepts, the world starts to mirror. There is one quality above all others that separates the drifter from the builder, the lost from the locked in, the man who watches life happen from the man who shapes it with his own hands. That quality is definiteness of purpose, a clear, unwavering, unshakable aim, a target burned so deeply into the subconscious that it becomes impossible to ignore, even in silence, even in failure, even in doubt. This is not a vague dream, not a list of goals, not a wish list typed into a phone at midnight and forgotten by morning. This is purpose, written with fire, carried with discipline, protected with your life. Because without purpose, your energy scatters. Your hours are stolen by distraction. Your focus is hijacked by the next shiny thing. You chase a dozen paths and master none. You build halfway and then walk away. You mistake movement for momentum, activity for achievement, noise for direction. But when you become a man with definiteness of purpose, your path narrows, your vision sharpens. You stop waking up wondering what the day will bring and start commanding the day to deliver what you have already decided. That's power. That's the beginning of transformation. Look at every man who changed the course of history, and you will find a purpose behind his steps. Henry Ford didn't aim to be wealthy someday. He decided to revolutionize transportation, and he pursued it with a focus so sharp the world had no choice but to adjust. Charles Schwab didn't dabble. He knew what he was there to build. He knew what Carnegie needed, and his purpose was so magnetic that others followed. Not because he demanded it, but because his clarity made hesitation impossible. Abraham Lincoln didn't drift into greatness. He made a decision so clear, so final, that not even a divided nation could shake it loose. That's what you need now. A final decision, a line in the sand, a sentence that lives in your bones, so clear that your mind orbits around it every single day. Let me ask you, do you know your purpose? Do you know without a doubt what you are here to do? Because if not, no strategy, no system, no motivational video will save you. Your progress will always be temporary. Your habits will collapse under pressure. Because the one thing that holds it all together is your why, your decision, your purpose. So write it down. One sentence, not 10. 1. What is it you must build before your time here is done? Who must you become? What must you give? What is the result that your life demands? Not because it's easy, but because you decided it matters more than anything else. That's your purpose. And once you have it, you read it aloud every morning. You write it by hand every night. You don't wait to feel inspired. You rehearse it until it replaces every other thought. This is the foundation of all confidence, to wake up and know where you are going. You don't compare, you don't scroll, you don't flinch, because your steps are already assigned. Everything you do, the food you eat, the books you read, the habits you install, the words you speak, the risks you take, it all bends toward one thing, your definite purpose. And that gives you spiritual immunity against distraction. You no longer envy other men's paths because you are locked into your own. You no longer fear failure because you know it is part of the construction. You no longer need approval because your purpose gives you authority. And from that place, your decisions become easy. Clarity becomes your compass. Time bends in your favor because the universe, your mind, and every atom of your being begins to conspire around one thing, completion of the mission. But without that purpose, even the best habits will drift, even the strongest man will fall, even the most brilliant mind will chase things that don't matter. So write the sentence, etch it into your soul. And this is not for someday. This is not for when life calms down. This is the day you stop living like a leaf in the wind and start moving like a builder with orders from within. Say it now. I know my purpose, and I follow it without apology. I no longer wait for clarity. I generate it. My energy is sacred, and my direction is locked in. This is how empires begin, not with noise, but with one decision burned so deeply into a man's spirit that even time itself bows in his direction. And if you haven't made that decision yet, make it now, because the clock is still running, but your focus hasn't been. You've got work to do. You've got power to build, and none of it will happen without purpose. Faith is not something you wait for. It is not a gift that descends from the sky. It is not the result of hope or circumstance. Faith is something you build. It is constructed the same way a building is constructed, brick by brick, act by act, thought by thought, until you stand in the middle of something so strong, so stable, that even your doubts must bow before it. Let me tell you a truth most men will never understand. Faith is not emotion. It is repetition. It is the byproduct of consistent, disciplined belief, spoken aloud, written down, acted upon, until your subconscious accepts it as fact. You don't find faith, you forge it, you train it, you rehearse it until it no longer requires evidence, because it becomes the evidence. And here's the key. The mind doesn't believe what is true. It believes what is repeated. That is why so many men believe in failure, because they've rehearsed it. They've spoken doubt daily. They've imagined disaster over and over. They've aligned their actions with fear, and then wondered why faith hasn't arrived. Let me be clear. You cannot rehearse weakness and expect strength to show up. You cannot marinate in hesitation and expect certainty to grow. Faith, like muscle, is earned through resistance. It is built by applying pressure to your comfort, and every time you follow through, especially when it's hard, you earn more of it. That is why autosuggestion is not a game. It is the gateway. It is the act of deliberately feeding the mind the identity you have chosen, not the one you were given, not the one they labeled you with, the one you designed. That's why I don't tell you to casually watch a video and hope it changes you. I tell you to repeat it, to study it, to speak it back. Because when you do, when you make those words louder than the doubt, something extraordinary happens. You start to believe yourself. That is the root of all personal power. To know that when you speak, your subconscious listens. So you begin each day with command, not confusion. You wake up and speak the script of the man you are becoming, not just because it sounds good, but because you know it is writing new grooves in your mind. And those grooves will become the path your feet walk. Thomas Edison did not succeed because he felt inspired. He succeeded because his faith in the outcome was greater than any single failure. 10,000 times he tried. 10,000 times he found a way that didn't work. But he never called them failures because his faith was anchored. He had already seen the light before the world did. And every act of effort, every moment of fatigue, every time he reset his tools and started again was another layer of belief. John D. Rockefeller didn't rise by luck. He trained his thinking like a man trains for war. He believed in systems, in structure, in certainty. And that certainty came not from chaos, but from mental rehearsal. He built wealth in his mind before he ever built it in the world. You must do the same, and you must see yourself follow through. You must imagine yourself moving with power. You must speak to yourself like a general giving orders to a loyal army, with calm, with clarity, with conviction. Because your subconscious mind is listening. It is always listening. And every word you whisper, every phrase you repeat is either building faith or breaking it. So let me ask you, are you speaking power or poison? Are you reinforcing courage or conditioning cowardice? Are you using your words to lift yourself or lower yourself? Because what you repeat becomes real. Faith is not loud. It is not flashy. It does not beg for attention. Faith is silent, grounded, steady. It is built in the dark. It is built when you show up despite your feelings. It is built when you say, I will, and follow through without applause. It is built when no one is looking, and you move anyway. That's how Abraham Lincoln led a nation through fire. He wasn't the most popular. He wasn't the loudest. But he believed in the vision so deeply, so completely, that no critic could shake it loose. And when faith becomes unshakable, action becomes automatic. You no longer try to rise, you do. You no longer wonder if you're ready, you move. And your results begin to multiply, not by chance, but by design. So here's your instruction. Write your chief aim. Read it aloud every morning and every night, and with emotion, with certainty, with fire. Visualize the outcome, and not once, but daily. Speak your identity, not as a wish, but as a fact. I am focused. I am disciplined. I act with purpose. I do not flinch. This is not theory. This is practice. And when you practice it long enough, the man you used to be, the man of doubt, of fear, of hesitation, he fades into dust. And the man of faith rises, not someday, today. There comes a moment in every man's life where he must make a decision so final, so absolute, that there is no path left to retreat. That moment is not about emotion. It's not about confidence. It's about commitment. Burning the bridge means this: you remove all exits, all fallback plans, all quiet excuses that whisper, if this doesn't work, I can always go back. No, you can't. Not anymore, because that man is gone. Let me tell you something that every titan of history has known. You do not truly transform until you remove the option of staying the same. You cannot build a new life while clinging to your old one. You cannot become someone new and still hold space for the person you used to be. You cannot win with your eyes halfway on the rearview mirror. Charles M. Schwab didn't become the president of Carnegie Steel by playing it safe. He wasn't the smartest man in the room. He was the most decided. He carried himself like a leader before the world saw it. He aligned his speech, his tone, his energy with his desired position. And in doing so, he closed the door to mediocrity. When he walked into the room felt it. You want that kind of presence? You must decide so fully, so violently that your past self is stunned into silence. This is what it means to burn the bridge. It's not symbolic. It's strategic. When you remove the option to quit, when you make it so there is no going back, you activate a part of your mind that most men never touch. It's the part that must win, because it has no choice. Andrew Carnegie demanded this from his men. He didn't want those who were interested in success. He wanted men with one obsession, men who burned the bridge to every other pursuit. He understood this truth. A divided mind is a defeated mind, and so must you. You cannot serve two identities, the man you've been and the man you are becoming. One of them has to die. That means you must remove everything that gives the old you oxygen, every distraction, every excuse, every person who keeps you small. You say you want to rise? Good. Then it's time to remove the staircase back down. You say you want to become unrecognizable? Then stop keeping souvenirs from your past self. That means you delete the contacts that drain your focus. You clear your space of things that reinforce the old habits. You stop visiting the mental corners where doubt still lives. You destroy the comfort you used to retreat to, because comfort is a liar. It says, you're fine where you are, but greatness never lives there. Greatness begins the moment you close the back door and walk forward with fire. That's what Henry Ford did when he bet everything on the assembly line. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't try to convince the skeptics. He decided. And in that decision, he removed failure as an option. People laughed. He didn't. Because a man who has burned the bridge does not have time to entertain doubt. He is too busy executing. Now listen to me carefully. You will be tempted, more than once, to look back. You will think about how easy it was to be lazy, to scroll, to sleep in, to live without pressure. And that voice will sound reasonable. It will offer balance. It will tell you it's okay just this once. That voice is the final ghost of the old identity. Kill it. Do not entertain it. Do not respond to it. Do not explain yourself to it. Replace it. Every time it whispers, you speak louder. I said 90, not 9. I act from decision, not from feeling. I move because I chose this path, not because it's easy, but because it's mine. Do you understand what that does? It hardens your will. It trains your subconscious to believe that your word is law, that your actions are not suggestions, they are commands. This is where the edge is formed, because now you don't need emotion to move. You don't need motivation. You move because the bridge is gone. You move because the man you used to be has no shelter left. You move because the only direction is forward. Thomas Edison didn't hope for a breakthrough. He decided there would be one, and he worked like a man with no alternative. 10,000 failures, and not once did he consider going back. Why? Because he had no bridge to return to. You must adopt the same mindset. Burn the plan B, eliminate the what if. Live as if this is the only shot, because it is. The clock doesn't pause, the world doesn't wait, and neither should you. You have been dancing with discipline long enough. You've flirted with greatness long enough. Now is the time to marry the mission. Fully, finally, without hesitation. Because once the bridge is gone and the fire rises behind you, there is no turning back. Only forward, Only execution, only evolution. Let that be the point of no return. Let that be the day everything changed. Let that be today. No man rises alone. No man becomes powerful by staying in isolation. While discipline is forged in solitude, acceleration is born in alignment. There is a force more powerful than willpower, more potent than skill or ambition. It is the power of the mastermind, and it begins with this truth. You become like the minds you consistently align with. Your thoughts are shaped by your circle. Your energy is influenced by your environment. Your identity is forged in the company you keep. You may believe you're strong enough to carry your mission alone, but look around. Truly look. Who do you share your time with? Who do you allow to shape your vision? Who do you speak to most? Because those voices are either building you or breaking you. The mastermind is not just a group, it is a mental alliance, a convergence of aligned minds moving with a shared intention to elevate, not distract, to build, not entertain, to sharpen, not soften. You must seek this, or you must build it. That means find men who speak with clarity, who move with purpose, who understand what silence means, who don't need to be reminded of the mission because they live it. When you connect your mind to others moving with the same fire, something miraculous happens. You become faster, stronger, more focused. You multiply your energy. You collapse timelines. You begin to unlock ideas you never would have seen on your own because the mastermind brings perspective. This is not theory. This is the same strategy used by the greatest builders of history. Henry Ford did not build his empire in a vacuum. He surrounded himself with thinkers, engineers, and men of unshakable belief. They didn't always agree, but they aligned, they pushed, they challenged each other into higher forms of execution. Thomas Edison had a mental network of collaboration, not noise. Ideas passed between minds, each one sharpened through shared obsession. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest minds ever to live, attributed his fortune not to luck, not to capital, but to the power of the mastermind, to having one goal reinforced by many minds united in purpose. Charles M. Schwab, too, rose because he sought alignment with the highest vision and made it his daily environment. The mastermind does not happen by accident. It is created carefully, deliberately. But let's be clear, not everyone around you qualifies. A mastermind does not include people who speak with doubt, people who gossip, people who chase comfort, people who mock discipline, people who wait for permission to move. You must remove them from your mental atmosphere immediately, because a single weak mind in your circle can dilute the fire you're building. Protecting your energy is not arrogance, it is strategy. If a man does not feed your vision, he bleeds it. If he does not mirror your commitment, he distracts you from it. If he cannot see the future you are building, he has no place in its foundation. Let me give you a rule. If you wouldn't trade places with their life, don't take advice from their voice. You are not obligated to carry the weight of others' confusion. You are here to build something different, sharper, clearer, higher. So what do? You form your mastermind by choice. Start with one aligned mind, one voice that sharpens you, one man who speaks clarity over chaos, then another and another, until your circle becomes a system, a structure, a support so tight, so aligned that failure becomes difficult. Meet weekly, speak with purpose, share goals, hold each other to higher standards, eliminate the soft language. Maybe, someday, I'll try. Replace it with declarations, with accountability, with fire. And if you cannot find this circle yet, be it. Be the standard. Speak with authority. Move with conviction. Others will feel it, and they will rise to meet you or fall away. Do not chase approval. Do not try to convert those who are committed to drifting. Just build, just move. Just live aligned, and those meant to walk with you will appear. This is not about community for the sake of comfort. It is about alignment for the sake of power. Because when a mind as sharp as yours joins with another of equal fire, the laws of success begin to bend. The path gets clearer, the results get faster, the noise gets quieter. This is the hidden power of the mastermind, the power to multiply your mission.